Over the last 5 games, Luka Doncic is averaging 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, furthering his case for NBA MVP as the Mavs continue to win. Sorry, did I say Luka? Because those are actually Kyrie Irving's numbers, which include 2 40-point games over a span of 4 days, while the Don's been sidelined with an ankle injury. Kyrie's not just playing like a star, but like an MVP, giving us all a reminder of how good he is. At age 31 with a history of lower body injuries, he's obviously lost some burst at this point, but the creativity in his handle, overall craft, and ability to operate in tight spaces still make him a big-time threat to get into the defense on drives. This time you're going to see him start on a drive right, and as soon as he gets cut off, he slams the brakes and redirects into a drive left, which gives him a lane all the way to the rim. That change of speed is just impossible to stick with. Here's one that starts with the left-hand drive, and notice how when he plants his right foot, his defender is actually behind him. But that sudden stop is so sharp that by the time Kyrie's releasing the shot, it's like no defenders even in the same area code. The ability to just stop and go on a whim makes him unpredictable. Instead of attacking off the screen, he patiently waits, then throws an aggressive crossover left straight into a tween right as he starts his drive. And OG actually does an incredible job of taking away the lane. That's when you'll see Kyrie use his body to create contact, and just that little bump generates enough separation to comfortably finish. He's really good at using his body, especially against a smaller defender like Alvarado. He goes right into his chest multiple times, but never extends that off arm, so it's not an offensive foul, just bullying his way in close where he earns some free throws. Another thing you'll see him do against these smaller matchups is turn his back to the basket and play out of the post. Conley never had a chance of contesting this fall-away jumper. Here's another that starts against Conley in the post, but this time instead of a fade, he spins into a drive. Notice how the paint is completely packed, Gobert and Towns just waiting for Kyrie, and that's where that deceleration comes into play, quickly pulling up for a midi. Although, let's be very clear, he can absolutely finish through traffic when he wants to, with unreal body control and some of the best touch we've ever seen. Sometimes it just makes more sense to get to the mid-range. Just like on drives, he'll use his body to create separation, using his shoulders to almost bounce off of defenders before rising up. Notice how as he pushes in transition, there's one defender coming in from his left hip and another waiting right in front of him. So what he does is goes into that left defender with his shoulder to move him out of his way before sidestepping to his right where there's nobody to contest the J. That off arm almost serves as a shield. Here's virtually the exact same play, except this time it's Brunson on his hip and OG in front, with the same result as he pushes himself into a jumper that beautifully kisses off the glass. In addition to the contact game, he can also get real slithery. Here you're going to see him redirect his drive as he hunts for a soft spot in the lane, and he finds some space to rise up over the top of rim protection. And this is another one that starts with a right-hand drive, except the defense has completely packed the middle of the floor, so the only angle for him to attack is baseline. Larry Nance rotates early to shut off the rim, so Kyrie just probes while keeping his dribble live, working his way to the opposite block for a turnaround fade. The key here is his patience. You can see that he's looking for the pull-up midi off a ball screen, but Biyombo comes up a bit to contest. So instead of settling, he hesitates and takes a couple more dribbles, getting to the right elbow for a now open look. When working off of screens, there's just no way for defenses to speed him up. This time you're going to see Edwards swarming him from the left hip while Gobert's parked right in front of him. And while a lot of guards would quickly give it up to Grant Williams on the pop, he keeps his dribble live, fakes a drive across the middle to lose Gobert, and the result is a layup. It's the same thing when he rejects the screen. Valanciunas comes over to put pressure on the ball, and he just waits and waits for the big man to commit to either him or the roller. And when he drops back, that's his cue to drive into a floater. The way Kyrie uses his handle to hunt for space allows him to counter more aggressive coverages. Hartenstein is all the way out near half court, and instead of quickly giving up the ball to Williams, again you're going to see him keep the dribble live. He brings those two defenders with him as he seeks out a lane, and eventually he finds it from the left wing, easily getting by the big man before shedding a third defender with some beautiful footwork. When he knows that a big is coming up to meet him off a screen, he'll often turn the corner with speed so that he can attack them in space. I think it goes without saying that they are not guarding that. And when the Knicks eventually switched to a drop coverage in an effort to protect Hartenstein from being attacked, that just left Kyrie with space to pull up for a three. The off-the-dribble three-point shooting opens up so much for his game. I already mentioned the ball screens, where if given any sort of room, he'll just torch defenses from outside. But I think it's most lethal when he's going to work one-on-one, and that's because he can get into the shot in so many different ways. This time it's a step back, and as long as he can see the hoop, it's a good look. On this one, you're going to see him throw a right-hand hesitation as if looking to drive, and OG drops back, leaving more than enough space for him to comfortably pull up. And here's another play that also starts with a right-hand hezi, but Tillman doesn't drop, so he instead turns it into a drive, getting right by that defender before shedding a second with a beautiful mid-air adjustment. You'll see these same things when he's operating from a standstill. He's comfortable setting up anywhere on the floor, whether that's from up top, in either corner, and because of the outside shooting, all it takes is an inch of room for him to get a shot off. And when I say inch of room, I mean that literally, because you'll see attempts where he's absolutely smothered, but remains completely unfazed. In these spots, he'll utilize the triple threat position to his advantage by jabbing over and over again so that he can gain just a little bit more separation. Defenders have to react to these jabs because if they don't, all of a sudden he's exploding into another drive and pouring in one of those infamously acrobatic buckets. The ability to apply constant pressure to all three levels and get seemingly wherever he wants with a live dribble keeps the defense in rotation, which then of course frees up the guys around him for high quality opportunities. That patience I keep going back to goes a long way in creating for others. Here's another example against the Pelicans where he waits and waits for Valanciunas to make a decision, and when the big man sticks with him, he moves it back to the screener who's been waiting on an island for an open three. He'll even use the threat of his scoring to manipulate the defense. Here you're going to see one of those bump sidestep middies, but while setting up the shot, he recognizes that Hardaway's all alone in the corner and instead decides to kick it out to the sharpshooter for a practice jumper. So you've got this big time on-ball creator who can operate from a standstill anywhere on the floor, including in the post, but also excels at the high pick and roll game, utilizing all three levels, getting his teammates involved, so you put him in a position where he's asked to be the lead creator and you get these huge numbers. Since James Harden was traded to the 76ers back in 2022, Kyrie's played 19 games without Durant or Luka by his side, a true number one. And in those 19 games, he averaged 30 points and 6.5 assists on 61% true shooting. Those are elite numbers, and his teams had a winning record in that time. Now, the way he increases his production when asked to carry a bigger load has, in my opinion, been the catalyst for a pretty big misconception. And that's the idea that he needs the ball in his hands to be successful, which has just never been the case. I actually think he's one of the best off-ball guards in the NBA. For one, he's an active mover, always looking for soft spots in the defense to take advantage of so that he can set up quick attacks. And because he's so good at playing on the fly like that, the Mavs will often run him off of screens in set action. This time it's a pin down straight into a 2-dribble pull-up midi. On this one, it looks like they're setting up the exact same action, except this time Kyrie gets top locked off the screen, which he counters with a sharp backdoor cut that sets up an easy 2. The big thing though is the outside shooting. I talked about his ability to knock down threes off the dribble. Well, he's even deadlier off the catch, and that includes hitting while on the move. The fact that he's such a good spot-up shooter helps him play off of Luka when they're on the floor together. Many might feel that waiting in the corner is a misuse of his talent, but the type of advantages that Luka creates pretty much demands the defense leave someone open, and let's just say it better not be that guy. Since arriving in Dallas, the duo of Kyrie and Luka has played just under 900 minutes together, and they've recorded a 122 offensive rating. That's an awesome mark, but what I think is even more impressive is that in the minutes Kyrie's played without Luka, they've had a scorching 124.9. No, that doesn't mean the Mavs are better without Luka. There's a ton of context, but it does speak to how Kyrie can adjust his game to fit whatever the team needs. Do you need him in a secondary role, complementing the play of Luka? The offense will be incredible. Do you need him to increase his on-ball creation and serve as a number 1 for stints? He can do that better than maybe any other sidekick in the NBA. All that's to say, I think some of us have forgotten just how elite Kyrie Irving is and just how much he pushes the Mavericks forward. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Kyrie. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.